we the underdogs, underestimated, yeah. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated, we the underdogs, underestimated.
It's the Underdogs, and it's Thanksgiving, which means we are back with our second annual 3 turkey leg parlay episode. I'm Jordan Brenner, joined as always by my co-host Peter Keating, and chiming in today at some point will be our esteemed producer Sarah McCrory. We are thankful that she will grace us with her presence. How are you guys?
I am very thankful. I'm thankful that we're all here and we're all together, and it's another exciting Thanksgiving.
Well, let's get started right away with game number 1. It is the Chicago Bears heading to Detroit to play the best team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. This is my leg, and I am going with Caleb Williams over 29.5 rushing yards. It's a high line, but I like it, and here's why. First of all, the Lions play man-to-man defense at the highest rate in the league, almost 43% of plays. As we all know, man defense tends to lead to more QB runs in general, right? Because backs are turned, guys are matched up unless you have a spy, whereas zones, more people are in positions to make plays on the quarterback, okay? The Lions just gave up 61 rushing yards to Anthony Richardson, and basically every mobile quarterback they've played has cleared this number, and even some non-mobile quarterbacks have done it. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams has cleared this number in both games since they've switched offensive coordinators, and this should be a trailing game script. Lions are obviously the better team. They should put up points, which should lead to even more called pass plays, and with a decent pass rush from the Lions, more scrambling opportunities. In fact, he could clear this on 1 or 2 rushes. 1 or 2 big plays is all you need. So, yes, the number is high, 29.5, but I like it. What do you think, P?
I have been looking at rushing by quarterbacks as I don't want to necessarily say it's a vulnerability of the Lions, but it is a byproduct, right, of what they've done. I mean, I think they gave up 29 yards to quarterback, 29 yards against Tennessee. I think Sam Darnold ran on them, right?
Sam Darnold did run on them. He had 39 yards on 4 rushes back in week 7.
And I'm pretty sure I saw Kyler Murray and Geno, right? Geno Smith both
and Baker Mayfield 34 yards.
Torched them up the middle a couple of times. Yeah. Right. So sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to pick one speck of thing to complain about or to isolate in what Detroit allows, this is probably it.
And again, look, 29.5 is a fairly high number for a quarterback not named Richardson or Jackson, but again, Caleb Williams has been looking to run more lately. I like the way the offense looks. It's the coordinator switch. I actually was looking at his over passing prop too. I think he could actually hit both in this game. But give me the rushing prop to start things off.
I mean, Jordan, is also the fact that if Caleb Williams is running for his life in this game, which is a possibility, that a couple of those things either get programmed in as designed runs or count as scrambles rather than just avoided sacks, right? So sure.
And like I said, look, he's cleared this in 2 straight since the change. He's cleared it in 5 of his last 7. The only 2 games he didn't do were blowout losses against the Patriots and Arizona, which led to the change at coordinator. I think they'll be able to move the ball a little bit just based on watching them a lot the past couple of weeks. So let's start with that. And now let's move to the game that all of America is waiting for with bated breath. That's right. The Cowboys and the Giants. The over-under here is how many minutes you can last watching this game. Just kidding. Sarah, as the biggest Giant fan among 3 Giant fans, take this game.
Okay, you guys, I don't know if you gave me this game to further humiliate me. I've literally been getting texts from people in my life asking if I'm okay and apologizing for the state of the Giants. So if I don't throw up my turkey or not want to watch this game, I'm going to try and make a fun bet to make it a little interesting so that people want to watch this game. And you guys might not agree with this. People might think I'm insane, but I'm going with the total over 37.5.
No one thinks you're crazy.
No one thinks you're crazy.
The only reason, listen to me, the only reason anyone thinks you're crazy is for agreeing to work on a show with us. Certainly not for your football acumen.
Right. Well, first of all, right. I mean, look at me. Second of all, Dallas has given up 1,000 points at home this year, right? This isn't that crazy.
Well, I was gonna say the Giants have given up 20 points in almost every single game this year except one. The Cowboys have also given up 20 points, 30 points, 44 and 47 points. So, I mean, despite the fact that both of these offenses are led by Cooper Rush and Tommy DeVito or maybe Drew Lock, I don't even think we actually know who's starting. Um, I do think that it could go over 37.5.
Well, let's hope for a Thanksgiving shootout. I mean, there's reason to think that there's be some guys running all over the field, right? I mean, we talked a little bit about how CeeDee Lamb has been targeted at a very high rate and is making catches all over the place, and Cooper Rush is running for his life and throwing to CeeDee Lamb all the time. So maybe they'll connect. Certainly,
Don't
the
forget
Giants.
the high probability of turnovers leading to short fields. So bad offense and defense might lead to, scoring opportunities produced by the defense.
I was also right.
do have-
You're right. In order to stop the scoring, the Giants would have to either cover or tackle. Right. Neither one of those things has happened for a couple of months. So sure.
I mean,
Sarah,
the Cowboys let up 34 against the Commanders.
Yep.
They put up 34 against the Commanders last week. The Giants let up 30. They were down 30-0 at home at one point. I think it's possible.
Oh, we almost listen. I almost forgot about the Giants' abysmal special teams. We talk about how underdogs need to have a puncher's chance in football. One way you do that, rather than beating mediocre at everything, is to be pretty bad at everything except special teams. And the Cowboys have an outstanding kickoff return game, as we saw against the Commanders. So there's a pretty good chance they could rip off a couple of 90-yard runs against the Giants.
Sure. And look, we're gonna roll with Sarah's over as part of our official parlay. But what's a feast without substitutions and other dishes you can sprinkle in? So if you want to change something up, I'm going to give you one other option, and that's CeeDee Lamb over 6.5 receptions, which on its own is a plus money, plus 105 bet over at DraftKings. But here's the reasoning behind that. He's gotten double-digit targets in each of his past 6 games. They're force-feeding him the ball, and even more so without Dak Prescott. These are short range, short yardage targets, low average depth of target. They're basically, they can't run the ball and they can't protect, so they got to just throw it to him a ton for high percentage passes. He's had 18 receptions combined in the past 2 games. He's cleared the 6.5 number in 5 of his past 6 games, and the Giants secondary is still the Giants secondary. So if you want to bet this on its own, if you want to add it as a interesting 4th leg to our turkey parlay, or if you really don't like Sarah and want to replace it, and how dare you, if that's true, you've got Lamb on the menu.
Right. There's always an argument for betting, finding some bet involving the best or most talented player on the field, right?
Sure.
And that's probably where CeeDee Lamb, where you get led to in this game.
All right. Well, after, this vomit-inducing game, we're going to head to the nightcap. It looks a little bit better than that. Peter, talk to us about Green Bay and Miami and the last leg of our parlay.
This is going to be a good game, and Miami's getting 3.5 points at Green Bay. Give me Miami. Give us Miami plus 3.5 against Green Bay. Here's the deal. Green Bay, both of these teams are playing very well, as we all know. But Green Bay's been 1-4 against the spread in their past 5 games. Miami's gone 4-1 against the spread. Usually when that happens, you can count on things zagging. You can count on the trends colliding and reversing, because you can't, it's not sustainable to have a gap between your performance and what the spread is over too many games in a row. However, Jordan, when conditions are under 40 degrees, yes, weather rears its head again in a bet that I'm proposing to you. The team that has done better against the spread has won 63% of matchups against the spread for a 22% return on investment. In other words, cold weather tends to keep games close, and that the lines don't cross as fast. Like the odds don't catch up quickly with teams when you have a really chaotic, cold, possibly snowy game. There's other reasons to think this game's going to be close. Look, Romeo Doubs is out with a concussion. Miami's been scoring 29 points a game since Tua came back. Tua is the most efficient quarterback in the entire league right now. He's playing out of his mind. The Miami defensive line, led by Calais Campbell, and has been playing really well. They've been getting sacks, not just pressures. And one other thing I know that you love the stat you love is Green Bay has been one of the weaker teams in the league against tight ends. They're 20th in the league in yards allowed to tight ends, and Jonnu Smith has been out of his mind the past couple of weeks.
Well, I'm going to get to Jonnu in a second, but here's
Right.
another fun Tua stat,
Yeah.
Peter. Tua Tagovailoa in his career as an underdog of 3 or more points is 10-7-1. But did you know that as an underdog of 3.5 or more points, he's 9-2-1? So it's in when the spread is exactly 3, he's 1-5. We're getting that extra half point. This is probably just overfitting.
It's just small sample size,
But
probably.
but when he's getting more than a field goal, he's 9-2-1, and we're getting more than a field goal. That's a
Right.
very significant half a point.
I don't split these. I usually don't split these hairs with the precision that pro gamblers do. But in this case, I'm very surprised you can get this game at 3.5 and not 3 or shorter odds.
And okay, so look, if you combine the 3 legs, Sarah's over 37.5 points in the Giants Cowboys game, Caleb Williams over 29.5 rushing yards against the Lions, and the Dolphins plus 3.5. If you combine those 3 legs, you get a tasty parlay at plus 573. Before we go, let me throw one other. You mentioned Jonnu Smith. Let me throw one other bet. Again, could be used as a substitute, or I like it as a side dish. I even bet this on its own already. Jonnu Smith over 40.5 receiving yards.
Mm-hmm.
He has cleared this by huge margins the past 2 weeks when he got 19 targets combined. He is having a breakout. He's always been a good receiver. Tua is looking for him early and often. I think 40.5 receiving yards is way too low, especially given that Green Bay has not done a good job on tight ends this year. So you could add that to your little sampler platter for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Tua is finding him at every level of the field. That's what it's impressive. He's short and long, and he's getting a lot of yards after contact. I think that's, as we say in Thanksgiving, Jordan, I think that's very tasty.
Yep. So to recap, Giants, Cowboys, over 37.5 points. Caleb Williams, over 29.5 rushing yards. Dolphins, plus 3.5 points. That parlay gets you to plus 573. Also consider CeeDee Lamb over 6.5 receptions and Jonnu Smith over 40.5 receiving yards. Any final words before everyone goes on their gluttonous day of betting and feasting?
Happy stuffing.
Sarah?
My final words are,
My gosh. People are going to think that's Baker Mayfield's thing now. Isn't that sad?
All right. I'm Jordan. That's Peter. And thank God Sarah graced us with her presence today. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.